child's face, innocent smile, eyes filled with tenderness. But what if behind that smile, death is hiding? What if an 8-year-old child becomes a serial killer? In a small village in Bihar, India, terror once gripped the hearts of its people. One by one, little children began to disappear in strange, mysterious ways. No one knew where they went or who took them. Fear floated in the air. Mothers trembled, clutching their children tight, whispering, "Will the next victim be mine?" And at the center of that horror was a name, Amarjeet Sada. He played like any other child, but his favorite toy was death. With a smile on his face, he strangled his victims. With stones, he crushed the heads of innocent children. Tonight, we bring you that terrifying story. The story of a child who became a serial killer before losing his milk teeth. A boy whose laughter was the sound of death itself, whose name is forever carved in history, the world's youngest serial killer. And if you wish to hear more chilling true stories like this one, subscribe to our channel and stay with us. Now, turn off the lights and prepare to face the devil hiding in the dark. In the Begusarai district of Bihar lies a small village, Mushari. A poor place, yet peaceful and still. Mornings began with the crowing of roosters and the laughter of children playing in the fields. Mud houses, dirt roads, and dusty open grounds. Life there was simple, routine, and quiet. But one day, the skies above that peaceful village grew dark with unease. A strange terror began creeping into its heart, for children had started to vanish. The first disappearance. One afternoon, a family suddenly realized their 6-year-old daughter was gone. She had gone to play, but never returned. The mother's heart sank. The father ran from house to house, calling her name. But the little girl was nowhere to be found. Villagers whispered, "Maybe she just wandered off. She'll be back soon." Others said, "Kidnappings happen in big cities, but here, in our quiet village." The family never reported it to the police. In rural life, people often stay silent to avoid gossip. So they endured their grief quietly, though an unnamed fear still shadowed their eyes. The second disappearance. Months later, on a cold, still afternoon, another cry tore through the village. The same family's 8-month-old baby girl was gone. The mother screamed through tears, "Where is my baby? Who took her?" This time, it could no longer be brushed aside as coincidence. 2 children, both from the same family, had vanished without a trace. It was as if a dark curse had descended upon the village. Women whispered to each other, trembling, "This is not the work of humans. Something evil walks among us." Others lowered their voices, glancing over their shoulders. Maybe the monster is one of us. Fear gripped the village like a tightening noose. Children no longer played outside. As dusk fell, doors were locked and windows shuttered. Men stood guard at crossroads with sticks in hand, but even that brought no peace. Silence swallowed the village. The air itself felt heavy, as if some invisible predator was watching from the shadows. Mothers clutched their children tightly through the night, while a single question echoed through every heart. Will my child be the next? A strange rumor spread through the village. Some said an evil spirit was taking the children. Others whispered it was the devil's game. But no one dared to seek the truth, because the truth was too horrifying to speak aloud. The monster everyone searched for in the dark was not hiding in the shadows at all. He was among them, walking their roads, playing beside their homes, smiling like any other child. And his name was Amarjeet Sada. Born in 1998 to a poor family in the same village, his face carried an innocent smile. His eyes sparkled with curiosity. He was just 7 years old. To the villagers, he looked like every other boy, one who loved to play, who ran barefoot through the fields, who sometimes hid shyly behind his mother's sari. But behind that innocent face lurked the demon of darkness. It was an afternoon in 2006. Amarjeet took his cousin, a 6-year-old girl, to play near the fields. And in the middle of their game, he suddenly wrapped his tiny hands around her neck. She struggled, gasped for air, then fell silent on the ground. Amarjeet smiled. His face was calm, almost peaceful, as if he had just won a game. The family, terrified and ashamed, told no one. They buried the truth, whispering, "It's a family matter." The second murder. Months later, the devil awoke again. This time, Amarjeet took his 8-month-old baby sister aside while playing. The innocent child, who should have been sleeping in her mother's arms, was instead strangled by her brother's small hands. The baby trembled, then went still. A brother who was meant to protect had become the messenger of death. Once again, the family hid everything. In the suffocating grip of fear and shame, they stayed silent. "If the village finds out, we'll lose our honor," they whispered. But one thing had become clear. Amarjeet did not fear murder. He did not cry. He felt no guilt. Instead, a strange smile appeared on his lips each time. He killed because it gave him pleasure. Watching others in pain excited something deep inside him, as if killing had become his favorite game. Yet the village still did not see the truth. They believed an evil spirit haunted this family. But they could not see. The evil they feared was the boy they saw every day. The one who played in their streets, laughed in their lanes, and walked among them. The tiny child who was, in truth, the angel of death. Summer 2007. The village of Mushahari was still trembling under the mystery of the two vanished children. No one spoke aloud, but fear was written clearly in every pair of eyes. Then it happened again, another horror. The neighbor's little daughter, Khushbu, barely 6 months old. Her chubby face and innocent smile filled the village with joy. One afternoon, her mother laid her down to sleep and stepped out for work. When she returned moments later, the bed was empty. Khushbu was gone. The mother searched the house, screaming her child's name, then ran to the neighbors in panic. People came rushing from every direction, and suddenly the whole village fell silent. They searched everywhere, fields, wells, huts, but Khushbu had vanished. Another missing child from the same village. Fear spread like wildfire. The first 2 cases had been hidden by the family, but now, with a neighbor's child gone, there was no way to conceal it. For the first time, the police arrived. They searched every home, every bush, every hut, questioned everyone, but no clues appeared. Then, someone noticed something strange. While the entire village was drowning in fear, one child was smiling. Amarjit Sada. When police asked, "Did you see where Khushbu went?" Amarjit stared at them for a moment, then smiled and said, "I know." The officers froze. He was only 8 years old. How could he know? They questioned him gently. At first he stayed quiet. Then he said calmly, "Give me a biscuit. I'll tell you everything." When they handed him the biscuit, Amarjit spoke, laughing as he confessed, "I killed Khushbu." The police thought he was joking, but his eyes told another story. Cold, emotionless, the gaze of death itself. Amarjit said, "I like it. I enjoy watching them shake. I like seeing their breath stop." The villagers stood in stunned silence. A child, at the age when others play with toys, was calmly admitting to murder. His confession shattered the village. People stared at one another, speechless. The laughter of a child had become the sound of death. And a single question echoed in every trembling heart. Is this real, or are we trapped in a nightmare? The police stood frozen in disbelief at Amarjit Sada's cold confession. An 8-year-old child munching on a biscuit had just said, "I killed her." No one could believe it. This wasn't mischief. It was horrifying truth. When the police asked, "Where's the body?" Amarjit smiled again and said, "Come, I'll show you." There was no fear in his eyes, no hint of guilt, only a strange calm, as if he was about to play another game. The police followed him along with a few villagers. As they walked down the dusty path, the air felt heavier with every step. No one spoke. Lips went dry, sweat gathered on foreheads, because everyone knew what they were about to see might haunt them for the rest of their lives. And there he was, Amarjit, walking ahead, holding a small piece of biscuit, smiling, as if leading his friends to a playground. He stopped at a patch of thick bushes outside the village, pointed to the ground, and said softly, "Right here." The police began to dig. Slowly, from beneath the soil, emerged a tiny bundle wrapped in cloth. Inside was Khushbu, the 6-month-old baby whose laughter once filled the village with joy. Now, her body lay still, her eyes closed, her lips tinted blue. Cries and gasps rippled through the crowd. Khushbu's mother collapsed to the ground, her screams echoing through the air. And at that very moment, Amarjit laughed again. No regret, no fear, only a strange satisfaction glowing on his face. He said almost proudly, "I told you I killed her. It's my game." The police realized this was no coincidence. The 2 missing children from before, he was behind those too. When they questioned him, Amarjit replied coldly, "Yes, I killed them too." Silence. The officers were speechless. A child murderer. At an age when others play in the mud, he laughed while killing and buried his victims beneath the earth. The entire village of Mushari trembled with horror. People covered their mouths and whispered, "Has the devil been born in a child's body?" Mothers clutched their children tightly to their chests because they now knew somewhere among them walked a killer, a child who didn't play with toys. He played with lives. Amarjit Sada stood before the police, an 8-year-old child, yet his face showed no shame, no fear, only a strange, cold smile. During interrogation, officers, journalists, even doctors stared at him in disbelief. One of the policemen asked repeatedly, "Why did you do it?" Amarjit replied in a calm, steady voice, "Because I enjoy it." There was no tremor in his tone, no hint of regret. Most children cry or panic when they make a mistake. They feel guilt, they seek forgiveness. But Amarjit was different. To him, murder was just another game. Doctors examined him closely, and their conclusion shocked everyone. He was suffering from a psychological condition known as conduct disorder. Children with this disorder feel pleasure when others are in pain. To them, suffering is entertainment, and death is victory. In Amarjit's eyes, that sickness was clear. He enjoyed watching others tremble, struggle, and gasp for air. That thrill, the rush of taking life, gave him more joy than any toy ever could. Police asked his parents, "Why didn't you report the earlier murders?" His mother and father stood with their heads bowed, voices trembling with shame and fear. They knew Amarjit had killed before, but in the fear of police, disgrace, and village gossip, they had stayed silent. And in that silence, a monster was given another chance. Even in police custody, Amarjit was different. While other children cried, he sat quietly, sometimes laughing, sometimes asking for food. When someone asked, "How did it feel to kill?" he answered coldly, "It felt good." His words sent shivers through the entire village. How could a child whose hands should have held toys have so much blood on them? Some villagers whispered that the devil had possessed him. Others said he was born a killer. But one truth was undeniable. Behind that innocent smile hid a merciless demon. Doctors called it a mental disorder, but the villagers asked, illness or not, murder is still murder. Who will answer for the innocent lives he's taken? And there he sat, Amarjit Sada, silent, lips curled into a faint smile, as if he had won, and everyone else were mere spectators in his horrific game. Amarjit Sada's cold-blooded confession had shaken the entire village to its core. But now came the biggest question. What would the law do with him? Because Amarjit was still a child, only 8 years old. The police knew. If an adult had committed such crimes, it would mean life imprisonment or even the death penalty. But Amarjit's case was different. Under Indian law, a child under the age of 14 cannot be tried as an adult, which meant no matter how horrifying the crime, he could not be sent to prison. The villagers burned with anger. Mothers wept and cried out, "Who will bring our children back?" Amarjit was brought before the court. Standing before the judge, he did not lower his head in shame. Instead, he looked around with curious eyes, as if this wasn't a trial to him, but just another game to him. After hearing everything, the judge delivered the verdict. Amarjit Sada will not be sent to jail. He will be kept in a juvenile home. The villagers were stunned. They had expected punishment, something harsh, something final. Instead, he was being sent to a place meant for reforming young offenders. Amarjit would spend 3 years there, and then he would be released. He was transferred to the Begusarai juvenile home, where he lived among other delinquent children. But even there, his behavior was unsettling. Whenever someone mentioned his crimes, he would laugh. During games, he would suddenly say, "Let's play murder." The other children feared him. Even the authorities could sense something inside this boy was deeply wrong. 3 years passed, and by law, Amarjit was released. He was only 11. After that, the government kept him under supervision until he turned 18. And then, he disappeared into a new life. A new name, a new identity, a new address. No one knows where he went or who he has become. Even today, the people of Mushahari shiver at the mention of his name. Some whisper, "He's still around. Maybe he never left." Others believe he's living somewhere under a new face, a new life. But one chilling question remains. If a child could kill 3 people at the age of 8, what kind of man did he become when he grew up? And are we truly safe? Once upon a time, the name Amarjit Sada was printed in every newspaper across India. An 8-year-old child who confessed to 3 murders. There is no other story like it in the history of the world. After spending 3 years in a juvenile home, the law set him free. He was only 11. Even after that, the state kept him under supervision until he turned 18. And when he finally became an adult, the law declared, his name and identity can never be revealed again. Because he was now legally an adult, but his past could destroy his future. So he was given a new name, new documents, a new address. Who he is now, where he lives, what he does, remains buried in darkness. The villagers still fear to even utter his name. Some whisper, maybe he's in a nearby state. Others say, maybe he's still killing under a new name. And some speak in trembling voices. Maybe he lives right next door. That fear has made him even more mysterious. Doctors once said Amarjit suffered from conduct disorder. But the question is, did he recover as he grew older? Or did the demon inside him grow stronger? Even if the illness faded, can the memory of his childhood murders ever truly disappear? A boy who could kill while laughing, could he ever become normal again? Today, Amarjit Sada no longer exists under that name. No one knows where he is. Some say he's studying. Some say he left the country. Others whisper he still lives in the shadows. But one thing remains certain. His story will haunt humanity forever. Even today, people still whisper, if a child can become a serial killer, how safe are we really? The boy who once strangled his baby sister with a smile, what if he now lives next door under a different name? Could you sleep peacefully knowing that? And this is how the chilling story of Amarjit Sada comes to an end. He remains etched in history as the world's youngest serial killer. But his future is a shadow, a mystery that still runs cold through the heart of society, whispering one eternal question: how safe are we from the monsters that wear a child's smile?